All right, this is going to be part 2 of your study guide for the unit test B. This is going to be over just multi-step equations. There's 3 things that you need to know, or, well, 3, I guess, concepts that you need to know when it comes to multi-step equations. The first being you just need to know how to solve the multi-step equations. You need to know how to do the word problems like we've been discussing. You know, Tyrone has... he charges $5 to get in the cab, and he charges $1 per mile. You need to know how to set up that equation, and then at how many miles would the cost be the same, comparing him and another taxi cab, something like that. And then you need to know no solution, infinite solution, and then the difference between no solution and the answer being 0, and then having 1 solution. And we're going to look at a little bit of all of that here. So, all right. So our first example. We're going to say 2, let me see, I need a smaller font or smaller size here. All right. We're going to say 2 times 4x minus 3 minus 8 is equal to 4 plus 2x. This equal sign in the middle between those two expressions means that those are equal. We're trying to figure out what is the number that you would put in for that variable to make those equal. And we do that by getting the variable all by itself. To get that x by itself, we need to follow those 3 steps. You're going to distribute, which means you're going to get rid of the parentheses. You're going to do the boxes, which is another way of combining like terms. And then you solve for the variable. You get rid of the coefficient that's in front of the x, or the number that's in front of the x. This is what that looks like. To get rid of these parentheses, I'm going to use the distributive property. That means multiplication. You're going to multiply the number that is touching the parentheses by everything that's inside. So you get 2 times 4x, that would give you 8x. A common mistake is for kids to just bring down the minus 3 right here. You have to multiply that by 2. That 2 is talking to the negative 3 as well, so that's minus 6. And then you bring down everything else. And guys, make sure you line up your equal signs every time. If you don't line up your equal signs, you're going to get pretty confused when it comes time to do these boxes. It's not going to look like you're changing sides at all. All right, so the boxes, I have been seeing kids not use these, and that's entirely up to you. I'm telling you, I've had kids have the most success this way. I would strongly recommend you do it the way I'm suggesting you to. But you know, if you wanted to combine on the left-hand side this -6 and this -8 together and then do the boxes, you could do it like that. I just think it's easier to do it all at the same time. So I'm going to leave the variables on the left and the integers on the right. It does not make one bit of difference. What does matter is that when I change the side, I change the sign. And by side, I mean if you go across the equal sign, if you go from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, or if you go from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. I may have just said that. Either way, look, you're going to be going from across the equal sign. You got to change the sign, so you got to look at the sign that is in front of each number or term, okay? We have 8x. It's positive. I'm just going to leave it on the left-hand side, and the converse is true. If you don't change the side, you don't change the sign. So if 8x is on the left, we're keeping it on the left in the boxes. We're going to leave it as 8x. We're going to move this 2x, though, which is positive, across the equal sign. Is on the right-hand side. We're putting it on the left, so we're going to make it -2x. If you get one of these questions wrong, you're going to know it pretty quickly because it's going to give you something. Your answer is going to be like some Bobo fraction, which we're not going to deal with. If you did that 99 times out of 100, what you did is you did not change the sign when you changed sides. Bring that 4 right down in there. This -6 comes over here, becomes +6, and this -8 comes over here, becomes +8. Now you're going to just combine them, all right, from the boxes. Here we go, 8x minus 2x, that gives us 6x. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 plus 8 would give us 18. And you divide this side by 6, and you divide this side by 6, and you get x equals 3. Now, that's what we think. Like, we think we did it right. That's pretty good. How do we know that we did this right? That's a 3. Come on now. We are going to use our calculator to help us out here. We're going to plug a 3 in for x, where we see an x, onto the left-hand side. And then we're going to see what that number gives us. And then we're going to plug 3 on the right-hand side. Guys, the calculator is not going to do the algebra for you. you got to know how to use the calculator. So what we're going to do is the first part says 2 times quantity 4, and we're saying that x is 3. So we're going to put parentheses 3. Yes, you can have parentheses inside of parentheses. It's going to look like this. And then you subtract 8. And we're going to see what all that gives us. You could type that in the calculator all at the same time and exactly the way it's written. 2 parentheses 4 parentheses 3, close the parentheses, minus 3, close the parentheses, minus 8. And see what all that gives you. I'm just going to do 4 times 3 is 12. And then 12 minus 3 would give me 9. I did what's inside the parentheses first. 9 times 2 gives me 18, and then 18 minus 8 would give me 10. So the left-hand side, all of this right here, is 10 when x is 3. 10 is not our answer. 10 is what we get when we put 3 into the left-hand side. If we put 3 into the right-hand side, which says 4 plus 2, and then we're going to put a 3 in there. If that gives us 10, this is our answer. If it does not give us 10, that is not our answer. So order of operations, we do multiplication here first. 4 plus 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and 4 plus 6 gives us 10. So since 10 equals 10, that is a true statement, and that means what we assumed, that x was our correct answer, or that 3 is our correct answer, that is correct. All right? If you got something that says like 10 equals 4, or 10 equals negative 33.7, you did something wrong. You got to go back and you take that thing in your hand, it's called a pencil, and you flip it upside down, you erase everything you just did, and you start all over again. All right? I would suggest next time maybe put the variables on the other side instead. If you put them on the left and you didn't get it right, maybe try putting them on the right this time. See if you get something different. All right? Okay. For the next one, we have 5 times x plus 3 plus 2, and that is equal to 17 plus 5x. All right, so let's see what this gives us. We're going to get rid of the parentheses. We're going to do that by distributing. It gives you 5x plus 15, and then you bring everything else down. Yeah, we just distributed. We just got rid of the parentheses. All right, that's your first step. You want to get rid of those. You can't do the boxes until you get rid of those. Now, we're going to put the variables on one side, the integers on the other. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to put the variables on the left here. I'm going to say 5x. That 5x goes right down in here, and this 5x is on the right-hand side. It's going to come over here and become 5x. So, it comes over here and becomes minus 5x or negative 5x. Change the side, change the sign. 17 goes right in your box. This 15 that's on the left, I'm going to move it to the right. It's going to be minus 15. And this 2, I'm going to change the side, change the sign. It's going to be minus 2. Now, you're going to get 5x minus 5x, which is 0. Or you could say 0x. 17 minus 15 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So this is now saying, don't get confused here. Your answer is not 0. Well, it's not only 0. This says which number multiplied by 0 gives us 0. And the answer to that is everything, anything. There is an infinite number of solutions here. You could have put all real numbers. That's the other way it might be written, okay? That just means that whatever, like this equation up here to begin with, it's already equal to each other. Like they are equal to one another. So when you put a number in there, the left-hand side is always going to equal the right-hand side. And here's why. If I were to combine like terms before I did my boxes, if I were to combine this 15 and this 2 together, 15 plus 2 is 17. On the left-hand side, it says 5x plus 17. And on the right-hand side, it says 5x plus 17. It doesn't matter. Like you're multiplying by 5 each time and you're adding 17. Since x is the same thing as x, whatever number you put in there, the left is going to equal the right. So that's whenever you get 0 equals 0, your answer is going to be infinity. It looks like a face little kind of. Anytime you get 0 equals 0, your answer is going to be infinity, all right, or infinite solutions, or it's going to be all real numbers. That's another way of saying that. All right, so now we're going to look at the next example. We got 24G minus 22 is equal to negative 4. 1 minus 6G. There we go. All right, I'm going to get rid of those parentheses first. Guys, if you don't have parentheses, you're just going to move right on to the next step, which is the boxes. But here we have parentheses. Negative 4 times 1 would be negative 4. You have to use the sign that is in front when you're distributing. Okay, this number is not a 4, it's a negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 6G. A negative times negative is a positive, so you get plus 24G. So I'm looking at that sentence right now, and I'm kind of looking at it. 24G minus 22 equals negative 4 plus 24G. Kind of have an idea of what I'm going to get, but let's see for sure. I'm just going to put the variables on the, let's put the variables on the right this time. 24G goes right down here in this box. 24G that's on the other side, change the sign, you get minus 24G, right? Now on this side you get negative 22 and you add 4 to it and you get negative 18. So that gives you negative 18 is equal to 0G. I'm just going to say 0G. Usually we wouldn't write that G right there. It's kind of like saying 0 times anything is 0, so you don't need the G right there. That's not how we typically write it in math. However, which number, we're asking which number multiplied by 0 gives us negative 18? Is it negative 18? No. Negative 18 times 0 is 0. Is it 0? No. 0 times 0 is 0. Guys, anything multiplied by 0 gives you 0. So that means you will never have a number for G in which the left-hand side will equal the right-hand side. There is nothing, because this step right here, you're multiplying that variable G by 24, but on the left-hand side, you're taking away 22. On the right-hand side, you're taking away 4. Like the one on the left is always going to be 18 less than the one on the right, because here you're taking away 22, here you're taking away 4. They're never going to be equal to one another. So your answer here would just be no solution, which just means there is no number you could put in there to make the left-hand side equal the right-hand side. If you get an answer that says 0 equals any number, that's not true. Like, does 0 equal negative 18? I don't think so. So since the answer is no, your answer is no solution. If it says 0 equals any number or any number equals 0, I mean, it could be written like this. Your answer is going to be no solution. All right? Next example here. Moving right along. We have f plus 5 equals negative 5f plus 5. A lot of 5s. And I'm so good at drawing 5s. All right, we're going to do our boxes here because there's no parentheses. We're going to go ahead and move into this step here. I'm going to put the variables on the left. I'm going to put that f right down in there. This negative 5f that's on the right, I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to make it positive, so it's going to say plus 5f. And on the right-hand side, I have a 5. That's going to go right down in there. And the 5 that's on the left-hand side, when I change the side, I'm going to change the sign. So what we're left with is 6f equals 0. Which number multiplied by 6 gives you 0? Your answer here would be f equals 0. And if you wanted to, you could divide by 6 here and divide by 6 here, and 0 divided by 6 is going to give you 0. So this is not the same thing as no solution. Don't get those mixed up. All right, no solution means there is no number including 0 that would work. This means that there is only one number that works. It is 0, which means that this has one solution. All right, the only thing you could put in for f to make the left-hand side equal to the right-hand side would be 0. And you could test this. You know, if I put a 0 in for f, that is 0 plus 5, which is just 5. If I put a 0 in for this f, negative 5 times 0 is just 0. So that'd be 0 plus 5. You get 5 equals 5, which is a true statement, which means this is correct. All right, so your answer is not no solution. The answer is 0. There's a difference there. All right. All right, so we're going to look at one of the word problems we have here. All right, we need to write an expression for each thing first. Let's do this. Oh. Insert thing page. All right, so what we're going to do here is we are going to look and break down a word problem. We're going to break down a word problem, and we're going to figure it out using the variables on both sides method. Tyrone's taxi. We are going to be talking about Tyrone here. All right. So Tyrone's taxi. You need to. The question is going to say something like, "You have 2 taxi companies. You know what? Hold on. Okay, here's your problem. Here's the question. We have, you were in downtown Atlanta for an Atlanta Falcons game. You went out to eat at a restaurant, and now you need to take a cab to the stadium. Tyrone's taxi charges $2.50 each mile with a service fee of $20. Rides by Rocco, the other taxi company, only charges a $10 flat fee, but he charges $5 per mile. So we have 2 taxis here. We need to know which one we're going to take, and the one that is the better deal, meaning the one that is the cheapest, it depends on how many miles you're going. You know, we want to figure out, like, if it's over this amount of miles, you want to go with this company. If it's under this amount of miles, you want to go with this company. And I know we've been using miles a lot and dollars. It could be any 2 variables. You know, I mean, we could be dealing with bananas and time. All right. I mean, it's just, it depends on what the question is that's given you. We need to write an expression for each taxi company. All right. So an expression is a mathematical sentence without an equal sign. I'm going to just write a T right here for Tyrone. The number that gets the variable, and when I say gets, the number that is going to be going with the variable, touching the variable, being multiplied by the variable, is the thing in the question that's happening over and over and over and over and over and over again. There's 2 ways that you could write an expression for each one of those companies. There's one, the right way, and there's the wrong way. It's not like there's one right way and 5 wrong ways of writing it. You would have, is it 250M or is it 20M plus 250? I mean, there's only one way of writing it. The thing that's happening over and over again is the $2.50. Like, that is what you're going to be paying over and over again depending on the miles. So how we would write this is you'd say 2.5, and I'm just going to leave the 0 on there just because we're talking about money. I'd say 2.5M plus $20. A flat fee, that's how much it costs to get in the taxi to begin with. Okay? I mean, it costs $20 just to get in this car. And then it's $2.50 every mile. All right? So Tyrone, the M, I used an M because I want to use for miles. Like, I don't want to get confused here. I don't know what I'm solving for. I don't know what I'm doing. If you used X, it's not going to be wrong. It's just, it makes more sense to put an M. Rides by Rocco. Rocco, he has a $10 flat fee, and he charges $5 per mile. Guys, this is not right. Okay? There's one way of writing it. There's one wrong way of writing it. This says $10 every mile plus $5 service charge. So don't get mixed up. Like, when you get done writing that down, ask yourself, does this make sense? It is $5 per mile plus $10 flat fee. All right. So the person that's cheaper initially is the Rides by Rocco. The person who is more expensive initially is Tyrone. However, Tyrone charges less per mile. So if you're driving a long way, you're probably going to want to go with Tyrone. If you're driving a short distance, you're probably going to go with Rides by Rocco. Now, okay, so it's 250M plus 20, and then we have 5M plus 10. Those are the two expressions for those companies, okay? Now, how much does each taxi cost if it is 5 miles to the stadium? Whenever you have a, quote, word problem or you're problem solving, you need to ask yourself, what is my answer going to look like, and what is the question even asking me? You know, is my answer going to be a shape? Is it going to be a graph? Is it going to be a pickle? Is it going to be a number? Is it going to be, some sort of crazy thing I haven't even, is it going to be a expression that has variables, or that has variables and it has exponents? What is my answer going to look like? This says, how much does each taxi cost? If it says how much, we're looking for a quantity in dollars, okay? If you get -10 as your answer, you did something wrong. You can't have negative dollars. You can owe $10, but I mean, it's not like you can't hand somebody a negative $10 bill. You can't get an answer here that's negative. All right. So if it says how much does each taxi cost if it is 5 miles to the stadium, well, it's 5 miles. We used M for a very specific reason because that stands for miles. You're going to put 5 in for M, and you're going to see how much it costs for both companies. So for Tyrone, we'd say it's 2.5, and then we're going to say times 5. It's acting a little wonky, but you have to add the $20 in at the end. 2.5 times 5. You come over off to the side, you're going to answer that question. 2.5 is a number close to 3. You're multiplying a number close to 3 by 15, or times 5, and you're going to get a number close to 15, and it's going to be a little bit less. So don't tell me that the answer is 125, all right? 2.5 times 5 is 12.5. And then you have to add the 20 to that. That gives you a grand total of, what is that, $32.50. $32.50. That's how much you pay Tyrone to take the cab from 5 miles away from the restaurant to the stadium. Rocco, for 5 miles, you would say it's 5 times 5 plus 10. Ooh. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 10, that would give you 35. I don't know why it's doing this. 35. So who is the cheapest for 5 miles? Well, it's $32.50 for Tyrone. It's $35 for Rocco. Therefore, you're going to want to go with Tyrone, okay? Because he's cheaper at 5 miles. Like, now what we're going to do for the next question, and this is the 8th grade concept. Like, if you had never seen this before, I think I could give you a calculator. You could kind of figure it out. Maybe. This is your 8th grade concept. It's like, how many miles would the cost be the same? Well, what that's asking you is it's saying...
Any yellow desk in here?